The new Rainbow Six Siege Operation Dread Factors patch notes just released. And so today I'm going to be going over them all and showing you every change that matters. There are a ton of things in these patch notes that could legitimately change the meta and the way we play Siege today. So make sure you watch it till the end to figure out everything that's going to be coming. Now, the first major balancing change, and the thing most people are here for, is the Grim rework. This rework is adding the Bailiff to Grim as a secondary option. It's adding a hard breach charge to him as a secondary gadget option. They're reducing the equip time of his launcher, so switching to his launcher will be quicker. They're increasing the fire rate of his launcher, meaning that you can shoot more bees quicker. On top of that, they're also reducing the activation time of the bees themselves, and they're going to be making them vulnerable to bullets, lasers, and melee damage. This is going to make it to where defenders, if they can react quick enough, can shoot the bees before they're able to deploy, from what I can gather here. I haven't obviously gotten hands-on with this rework yet, but from what I understand, you're going to be able to shoot the bees off the wall before they deploy. On top of that, they're also increasing the area of the bees. They're increasing the radius of the bees. They're changing the way the detection system works for the bees, so your body has to actually be inside the bee's radius, not your head. They're also reducing the decay duration of the bees, meaning that if you leave the bee's radius, they will no longer ping you for as long. They've also made the time between pings a lot lower, being only 1 second. This change seems to be turning Grim into more of a flank watch operator than an aerial denial operator, and hopefully this will make him strong. But me personally, I don't think this is going to help him in any way. I think he's still going to have a very low pick rate until they bring in the second rework, because this, while it's making him stronger, he's still not going to be meta by any means. Next up, following the Grim changes, we have Thunderbird, who's getting her impacts removed and her nitro cell removed, and they're replacing it with the barbed wire and bulletproof camera. Also, her Kona stations are getting nerfed, reducing their healing per shot to 20 from 30, and her Kona station cooldown is being reduced to 15 from 35. This will probably make her Kona stations a lot less niche. You won't be able to heal a ton off of them each time, but you can make a round around the bomb site, get some health, and they'll recharge a lot quicker, which will be nice for, playing them on power positions and stuff. Overall, this is a big nerf to her because she's losing the nitro cell and the impact grenades, but the gadget buff is a little nice. I consider it to be a buff. It's a pretty massive reduction in cooldown. Then next up, we have Goyo, who's also losing his nitro cell, and it's being replaced with a bulletproof camera, and they're adding impacts to him. So this is all right, I guess. I think removing the nitro cell of Goyo makes no sense because no one ever asked for it, and this is not a change that needed to happen. I could see them removing the 1.5 off of Goyo maybe, but I don't see nerfing him by removing his nitro cell. I don't see how this is that big of a change. I mean, giving him impact grenades is nice because he can use it with his gadget to destroy his canisters and stuff, but I don't see why they need to remove the nitro cell in the first place. Next up, we have a pretty interesting change, the pulse. They're going to be removing his barbed wire and replacing it with a deployable shield, which is huge. That's going to be a big buff to pulse. Now, you're rarely going to use the deployable shield, but that is nice to have a deployable shield on pulse. Also, he's getting the new observation blockers. I'm not going to be covering every operator that's getting the observation blockers because that would make this video way longer than it needs to be, but a lot of operators are getting it, like Jaeger and Rook and stuff. Following up pulse, we have Alibi, who's getting a pretty massive nerf. They're removing her deployable shield and replacing it with the observation blockers, and they're removing her impact grenades and replacing them with proximity alarms. This is a massive hit to Alibi. The main reason a lot of people pick her is for the deployable shield and secondary shotgun. Now she only has one of those things. Her traps are pretty decent. I don't think they're terrible, but they're not great compared to like Legion and stuff. But removing her deployable shield is going to make a lot less people pick her. Her gun is still good, and she still has a secondary shotgun, but she doesn't have a lot of the utility she once brought. Then following that up, we have Jaeger, who's losing his barbed wire and getting it replaced by the observation blockers. This is a pretty huge nerf to Jaeger, in my opinion. By far, the most picked operator with barbed wire is Jaeger, and him no longer having it means you're probably gonna have to pick another operator instead of him to bring barbed wire. So this is gonna make it a little more annoying for the defense because you might have to bring an operator for their barbed wire specifically, but we'll have to see how this plays out. I don't see why they needed to remove his barbed wire to give him observation blockers, but it's fine. Then another change that really makes absolutely no sense is they just decided this patch to give Chanko proximity alarms. Why? No one knows. They just gave him proximity alarms. And I don't really know what to make of this because he already has a deployable shield that was going to pick him. But I mean, if you want to add him, go right ahead, I guess. The next major change in the patch notes that isn't them just adding observation blockers is they're now going to be making the higher ranks like Emerald, Diamond, and Champion more difficult. We haven't gotten any details as to how they're going to be doing this, but I'm assuming they're going to be increasing the MMR gap between Emerald, Diamond, and Champion to make them more difficult. I'm totally fine with whatever they do to make this more difficult because Emerald, Diamond, and Champion are extremely easy to get. I'm pretty close to hitting Champion myself, and I don't consider myself to be a Champion level player. If I'm being totally honest, I feel like I deserve something around maybe high Emerald at most. Like I said, I could just be misjudging my own skill, but I legitimately don't think I belong in Champion, and I think a lot of other players in the game don't belong in Champion. A lot of players in Siege their ranks are very bloated right now, and it's just because of how easy it is to rank up in the rank 2.0 system. You can lose a game and lose 10 in MMR and then win one and get 80. So it's very easy to just blow through the ranks all the way up until, you know, plat or emerald level maybe, and then that's when the game starts getting a little difficult, but it's still not that hard, especially if you're a high skilled player like Pingu or other big content creators that have a lot of skill in the game. They can hit Champion within the first, you know, couple weeks of the season being out. So I'm very happy that they're addressing this problem at the very least. They're also going to be adding a pretty huge feature to replay mode, which is going to make a lot of content creators happy, which is free cam. This is going to allow you to just move around the map completely freely. You're not going to have to spectate a specific person while, you know, in a match replay. You can just fly around the map and see what you want. This will be really good for content creators to get B-roll footage, potentially to get thumbnail screenshots. And also, it's just going to be really cool for normal players to be able to see the match going on from whatever perspective they want. And they also said they plan on adding this to custom game in the future from what I saw. So if they can do that as well, that'll be even better for content creators. This isn't really a feature I'm going to see a lot of normal players using, I wouldn't imagine. But it is going to be a pretty huge change for content creators. Now, one thing I forgot to mention during the patch notes is the observation blockers. Obviously, you guys heard me talk about them getting added to certain operators, but the actual observation blockers, I didn't talk about like what they do or anything. What they are is they're a deployable secondary gadget that blocks the line of sight of drones. Drones can't see through it, but players can. This is going to be a pretty huge secondary gadget depending on the bomb site. And it could also have some really good strategies with like Maestro, Mute, Mozzie, because the drones are going to see the gadget until they go through. I'm very excited to see how this goes. I think this will be a really good change. Anyways, that about wraps up the patch notes and what's coming in Operation Dread Factor. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, I make Rainbow Six Siege content just like this twice a week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter so you don't miss the next upload. If you want to watch another video just like this one, a video will be popping up on your screen right now that hopefully you'll enjoy. I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.